The second concept in the 10 concepts of the therapeutic community is practicing positive role modeling. That sounds like a pretty straightforward concept. Can you describe it for us, Charles?
Well, role models influence the attitude and the behavior of others in the community, either in a negative or a positive way. When you're talking about a role model, you're talking about a person who could convince somebody either way that this is the way that you ought to be living your life. For instance, with positive role models is people who has actually embraced the program and trying to live life on life's terms, and basically has made a commitment that they're going to rid themselves of the form of behavior that caused them to come there in the first place. And so as you begin to see there's other people that has this same thought pattern in mind and they have the same desire that you have, you begin to emulate that behavior. Sometimes you can be a role model without even realizing that you are one, a positive role model. You can be a negative role model without realizing that you're one. People have a tendency to utilize others as examples. I can say that one of the things that attract me to drugs many years ago is that when I observed heroin addicts basically having this nod, and they would just nod out on the corner, and I looked at that as very impressive because it seemed like they was in control of their life, and that even though as weird as that sound, they was like models to me in terms of influencing my behavior. Sometimes we don't realize how much we influence others in our behavior and using ourselves as examples. And so we have to be very careful. We are always influencing other people, whether it's positive or negative. And most cases, our clients, I simply tell people that there are more positive people in the community than negative people. So it shouldn't be that hard to find somebody that you can emulate and take notice of and strive to be like them. And that's one of the keys.
I remember there was an athlete once who made the point, I'm not a role model. But what I hear you saying is you're a role model wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not, you are a role model. In fact, a person like, for instance, myself, is that realizing that I have a lot of background in substance abuse and I have background in the criminal justice system, people, when I mention that to anybody that's experiencing that at this particular time, they take notice, and I can see that they perk up and they're willing to listen, because I tell them that there's two things I can offer you that probably not many people can. I can offer you a plan how to get out of prison and stay out of prison. I have for the last 30 years. I can offer you a plan of how to get off drugs and stay off drugs. I have for the last 30 years. And so people take a notice of that and they hear that story. Your story is very important, and you have people with similar stories that talking about the fact that they struggle in certain areas, but now they are basically living life on life terms, and they want to know more about how I did it, and they follow me, and whether I realize it or not. I give you a perfect example. I was here at the bridge here and didn't realize that one of the guys that was at the Lantana institution where I came from straight here to the Orlando Bridge was there with me at the institution. And one day he came up to me after I was here for about 2 or 3 months and said, you know, Charles, I want to say something to you. He said, you don't know me. He said, because you know me, but you don't really know me. I saw you at the county jail. Actually, I'm from Jacksonville. I saw you at the county jail, and you act the same way that you're acting now. You started then processing, realizing that you had to make some changes in your life. And then I saw you when you went to Lantana and how you became the coordinator of the facility, and things happened into your life in a very positive way. And then I followed you here to the bridge. He said, I just want to say this to you, that what it is that you got, I want some of that. And I was very impressed with that desire from him, because he watched me when I was not even aware of it and not even realizing that somebody else was looking at the way I was conducting my life. So the issue here is that whether you like it or not, you're being watched by your peers. And whether you're a role model or whether you consider yourself one or not, the peers, the young people are taking notice. And Charles Barkley was indeed a role model, whether he liked it or not.
So Karen, then you have an important role to play in the community as the staff leadership and everything. It seems to me that you might be spending a lot of time deciding who's the positive and who's the negative role models. How do you use that?
The positive and the negative role models within the staff?
And the community.
And the community. Well, what I do mostly is talk about it a lot, because it's with the therapeutic community, again, what we really have to concentrate on is the language all the time. And we have to keep realizing who the client is, that they're so unskilled and they're so, badly damaged when they come in, that everything that we do is, like Charlie says, it's noticed and it's taken very seriously. They're kind of checking us out because they need to know how to do it another way. We're asking them to do something that they've never had to do before, and they don't even know where to begin. So they're kind of looking at us to see how it works. So if we speak to them respectfully, they learn how to speak respectfully back. If we do the right thing, they learn how to do the right thing. If we show up at group on time, they know it's important to show up in group on time. If we write CCs, corrective consultations, or DRs, they're able to write the peers. So everything that we do is kind of giving them permission to then go ahead and do it also. So we're the major role models in the community, the staff. And then within the community, clients are selected, they're voted into badges that hold a lot of status within the community. And like the coordinator badge, he's the person who runs the community. He's in charge of the whole therapeutic community. And he's the ultimate role model, so we have to all be hands in on who gets selected for this coordinator position, because we want to make sure that this person is genuine, like Charlie described, that he's not just going through the motions, but he really believes in what he's doing, and he's taken a chance in his life, which is in turn giving the other clients permission to take a chance also.
What I also see is that you just described very perfectly is that who you are speaks so loud, they can't hear a thing you say. What you are speaks so loud that people generally do what you do, not what you say. And so if you're doing something and it's not congruent with what you're saying, then that's a conflict, and people are going to be able to recognize that. That's one of the reasons why the word hypocrite come to mind when other inmates are talking about other inmates. They know that you say one thing on the smoke pit out there,
right,
and you're saying another thing in group. So what we try to do is try to make what they do in group congruent with what they do in the community at large, and then subsequently the bigger community when they leave the program. And so this is kind of a little laboratory, little laboratory, if you will, where they begin to emulate each other and basically utilizing the positive peer pressure to change and to look at the other options of how to go through the maze and help each other going through that maze of life.
Charlie, that's so important that you said that, and I just really want to stress that, because the counselors do all of this work in group, and they present these wonderful materials. We have these great modules, and the clients get the opportunity to really work within these modules and process the information. And then if we're not holding them accountable, once they come out of group, if we're not paying attention to how they're acting towards one another, towards us, and as a whole in the community, then we're not helping them to actually take this material, take this information, and do something with it. Use it as that practice. Use it as that, that field where they get a chance to challenge one another and to challenge themselves.
So you're spending a lot of time making sure they get positive role models that they can pattern their life after. How important is it for you to get their attention about the negative role models in their past and how it affected their choices and behaviors?
Well, in some cases, they do a kind of a analysis, a comparison of how their changed life compared to what their life was. And one of the things that we say in treatment is that you have to change people, places, and things. The people that you used to hang with all the time, you have to realize that they didn't have your best interests in mind, and the people that you're involved with now, maybe they do, and maybe they can offer you something. They offer concern. It's all how it is. I think it's also how you identify people in your life as friends. For instance, thinking the old thinking way, the thinking way, we look at our friends as buddies that we can kick what we call kick the boo-boo with, and kick the joke, and talk about things, talk about each other's mamas or something like that in a joking way, but nothing is serious. If you listen to the conversation of most of our clients, they are mostly about what happened in the past and what's going to happen in the future. Nobody's talking about the here and the now. Mm-hmm. And so what we try to do is get them to be more focused on what's happening with you now and be more in the here and the now, opposed to being all over the place and talking about the past and what they did and the war stories of what they intend to do when they get out, and opposed to being focused on what's going on right now.
Charlie, don't you think that the more engaged they get in the program and the more they really start embracing their recovery, the more that they get this chance to see that those guys that they kicked the boo-boo with?
The boo-boo, yeah. That's one of those things that they're just talking a bunch of nonsense.
Well, those are not the guys that they really want in their life anymore. They no longer would choose these guys anymore. Those were the guys that were in that kind of thinking that they were stuck in before they came in. Hopefully they're making better choices.
Well, as you begin to change the way you think, you change the people that used to think the same way you used to think. So things are changing all the time. And so as you begin to change your thought pattern, you begin to change the company that you hold with people that was thinking that same way too. So they no longer appear to be an interest to you. And I can tell you one quick story about myself. And I remember when I was getting ready to go back to Jacksonville to just kind of experience some things that I experienced. I just wanted to go back on the avenue and just to check my old hanging places out and the old friends out. And they was waiting on me because they heard that I had changed. And so I remember going up there, and I had nothing in common with those guys anymore. As a matter of fact, I didn't even feel comfortable with those guys. And basically, we wind up not really having a good time together like we've had in the past. We had nothing in common because my thought and my whole thinking had changed from that way of thinking. So I no longer thought like those guys anymore.
We see that with the guys that come in and they get on the phone right away as soon as they get their phone privilege, and they're talking to these women that was, it's my life, I love her, and by the end of the program they're like, I would never go back to this woman. Because you can see that this new guy happens and he really starts doing better and feeling better. And when you're in a better place in your life, you're going to choose better people in your life.